Hi everyone, welcome. I'm Annabelle from BioBuzz and super excited to have you guys all here for another one of our Career Catalyst sessions, which are part of our ongoing Career Catalyst and Community Office Hours series. So these are weekly sessions designed to connect you directly with industry insiders. We're going to share some practical insights to help move you forward in your career. And today, we're going to be talking about charting a career of extraordinary ability. So kind of how purpose, strategy, and impact can come together to build a globally recognized professional path. And we're going to be hearing from Aiswariya, a life science consulting and market research professional who successfully navigated the journey from consulting to earn a EB1A Green Card of extraordinary ability. So she's going to be talking about her experience with that, her experience with consulting, and a little bit about her. She has over 13 years of experience spanning market research, competitive intelligence, commercial strategy, and business development, spanning the life science industry. And in her current role as an account director, she partners with major biopharma organizations to help deliver AI and digitally enhanced solutions in medical affairs, regulatory affairs, and clinical R&D. Beyond that, she is also part of Women in Bio and serves as the vice president for Young Women in Bio, the Capital Region chapter. So that is a proud partner of BioBuzz and happy always to work with the members. Love them over there. So looking forward to continuing that collaboration. I'm very excited to have Aiswariya on as well to do that. Before we do get started, I do want to give a quick shout out to BioTrack for sponsoring today's session. BioTrack, they have over 30 years of experience. They've trained over 17,000 scientists. So if you're looking for any upskilling resources, I would highly recommend checking them out at biotrack.com because they're, like I said, a very great upskilling resource. And also want to mention that today's session is part of the BioBuzz Talent Lab. So join the beta testing of that. You'll be able to go on, join the MVP, and get access to more resources like this. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to hand over to Aiswariya.
Thank you. Thanks, Annabelle. Thanks so much for that kind introduction. Very warm welcome to each one of you. Good morning, good evening. I don't know which part of the world you are from, but very glad to be here today and to share my experience. Hopefully, it could benefit some of you and would, if not all of you, and help you in any which way possible to kind of take your career to the path that you're looking at. Let me quickly share my screen and give you an overview of how we're planning to take this session today. And then we'll quickly take. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet.
Perfect. Okay. All right. So today's topic, pretty much charting a career of extraordinary ability that is very relevant for all our non-immigrants, most of them who have come to the United States with great dreams to pursue. I'm sure that most of us come here considering this to be the land of opportunities, and it will help us really realize our career goals, career dreams, and to really make it big in our career. But as I always say, the United States is definitely the land of opportunities, not until you actually get your visa issues, your immigration issues sorted, right? So only then it actually starts giving you back, and it actually starts helping you realize the full potential of your career ability. So having said that, I thought we'll just look at this topic in life sciences consulting, because I always had my career charted in the management consulting business side of life sciences as opposed to the hardcore research or academia side of it. So I thought I'll just share a small snippet of this, because there are many people who are aspiring to go this pathway, at least to get their immigration sorted. And still there's a lot of confusion, a lot of apprehensions about what should we do? Do I really qualify? Is my profile good enough? How should I actually take this forward? How long will this take? Is it even worth investing the time and the efforts in this? There are a lot of questions. I wanted to just take the session forward today is to just narrate my career journey a little bit, to give you a quick insight of how I started and how it kind of took a turn with different domains within life sciences, and what actually led to the what are some of the things that I did to chart a profession or a career which qualified for the EB1A Green Card. And then probably I thought I'll kind of answer some questions in terms of what you will have to keep in mind depending upon which stage of your career you are currently in, whether you are in early stages, mid stage, late stage of your career, because each stage they definitely has a different way of thinking, different mindset, and different ways in which you'll have to shape it to take it to the EB1A level. And then I also thought that I could walk you through some of the myths that people have about EB1A Green Card, especially when to think about whether you would qualify this or not. I think there will be quite a few questions and confusion which I myself once had when I was trying to apply for this, right? So if that sounds like a plan, I think let's just quickly jump into today's presentation. Feel free to, Annabelle, are they allowed to stop me and ask questions, or is it usually after the session, after the presentation?
Typically, we do it after. If you guys want to put something in the chat, though, we can, kind of do it as they come.
Perfect. Okay, maybe I won't be able to see what's posted on the chat since I'm sharing my screen. Feel free to stop me if there's anything that that needs to be addressed immediately. Sure, and but happy to take a question and answers at the end of the session. So quickly giving you a perspective of my career path, I was born and raised in India, so did my preliminary education, my undergraduation back in India. I graduated with a engineering degree, which specialized in biotechnology back in a university called Anna University in India. So I graduated in 2009, and I was very clear that I wanted a career exclusively just in life sciences because that's always been my passion. Biology as a subject, biotechnology as a subject. I actually aspired to be a doctor, and at some point, I don't know, I just changed my mind and decided that I'll take the biotech, biomedical route, and I did engineering and biotechnology. And after I graduated from my bachelorette program, I landed a job with one of the biggest pharma companies, which is called as Bayer Healthcare. I think most of you are familiar with Bayer Healthcare. So this was back in India, and I really loved the. I was a performance consultant where I was training medical representatives in product knowledge, selling skills, so on and so forth. So I loved the role. It was very interesting, intriguing. It involved a lot of travel. There was, I was acting more as a liaison between the medical affairs groups, the regulatory teams, the field force, and I was trying to pass on insights directly from the field to the, the clinical team to kind of enhance products and also vice versa, right? So whatever was devised in terms of the product and the training programs, I used to help a lot in field medical training as well. It was an interesting career path. I liked it. It was quite intriguing, especially for a new for a fresher just right out of college. But not very soon until I quickly got this opportunity with a company called as Frost & Sullivan. I don't know if many of you have heard of it, but they are one of the most reputed names when it comes to market research and consulting across domains, not just life sciences. But since my expertise and my experience caters more to the life sciences field, I joined in as an analyst for the life sciences vertical of Frost & Sullivan. So these 4 years actually it had a huge impact in terms of transforming my career, I must say. This was a great company because they let you do your own market research and publish it under your own name, right? So this was a period when I actually did a lot of syndicated reports, authored a lot of white papers, market insights, articles, worked with trade publications, journalists, editors from journalists. And again, this is not just within a particular region, this was all global. So the research could be on any topic, it could be on any therapeutic area, it could be on any service area, it could be on anything which is pertaining to life sciences. So I've pretty much worked on diseases like diabetes, neurodegenerative disorders, regenerative medicine, generics, biosimilars. It could be any sort of any relevant topic in the life sciences space. Authored a lot of reports, and that garnered a lot of attention in terms of going to conferences, delivering thought leader interviews, so on and so forth. So these 4 years formed a very critical phase in actually shaping my career to EB1A. And trust me, when I was doing this, I had no clue as to there was something called as EB1A. Because I was back in India, it was just sort of pure passion, pure excitement and interest that I had in the field. I was going very deep into this, and I was kind of taking extra efforts just out of my day job to connect with more people, to sort of give more interviews, to make sure that my research had better outreach globally. And I was doing this for almost every syndicated report, every white paper that I authored. So these 4 years were the most crucial years, and I think it really went well. It gave me a very good perspective of a different functional domain, apart from just looking at it from a biopharma client's perspective, more from a functional perspective of market research consulting. I've even worked with venture capitalists, with banks, where they're trying to do industry benchmarking to understand, to evaluate best practices, which are the companies, new products, technologies coming into the space. It was very interesting, never a boring day, never a dull day as far as this stint was concerned. So in 2015, I quickly moved to the US here to join my husband. And that's when I decided to pursue my master's. Since I had built a pretty good career in the management consulting field, I wanted to do the logical next step I felt was to do an MBA. And I did a very specialized MBA in health systems management, which is called as MHSM, from Texas Women's University. Again, even before I graduated, based on the good work that I had done in the past back in India, I landed up in a job in the United States with a company called Strategic Analysis Inc. So I started on my CPT as an internship, but during my internship itself, it was a full-time job. I continued through for about 5 years, and this was all about competitive intelligence. So very similar to market research, but then again, this is a different domain or a different vertical. So again, I was focused heavily more on generics and biosimilars over here across therapeutic areas, oncology, your respiratory, immunology, anything you name it. We were tracking the entry of generic and biosimilar drugs. Another interesting stint, and again, that led to a lot of exposure work, a lot of front ending over here. It was a critical role that I had to play in trying to manage projects, bring in business development, write proposals, the typical consulting work, right, that we do. So again, in 2022, it was around this time the digital era caught up, and I think there was a lot happening in terms of AI, Gen AI, and that's when all these companies were looking closely into digital transformation. And that's when this opportunity with Indegene, a digital transformation company, specifically again looking only at life sciences domain, came into the picture. And I loved the opportunity and grabbed it. And again, currently with Indegene, been here for 3 years, looking particularly at domains like medical affairs, regulatory affairs, clinical R&D, market access, training, pharmacovigilance, so on and so forth. So we help clients with the digital transformation in all these areas. And I'm currently handling two of the largest portfolios for Indegene, which are again pharmaceutical companies. And this is heavily consultative based, you can say business development, strategic, consulting that we do for these clients, just to help them improve their ROI, reduce their, help them improve cost savings and reduce the spendings that they have right now, because that's what digital transformation is all about, right? So this is a quick snapshot about my career in a nutshell. Let me move on to the next slide and tell you what actually led me to qualify for this EB1A. So I would say it's a combination of everything from each of these job profiles. So, but the heavy part, as I told you, was during my tenure at Frost & Sullivan, because this company actually let us publish reports in our own name. So there was heavy citation. So your work gets recognized under your own name. Usually companies, they don't let you do that under the analyst's name. They usually do it under their name, even though the research report has been built from scratch by the analyst. The companies actually publish it under their name, but we had the good fortune of doing this. And because of this, there was pretty good, I would say, reach globally. For each of the reports I authored, I think there was extremely good reception. There were several requests for thought leader interviews, one-on-one thought leader interviews, requests to come and join conferences as a keynote speaker, to moderate panels, I was even invited as judges to judge some of the expos in the biopharma industry back in India and a few other countries as well. So I had over 75 publications by the time I kind of moved to the US, and this included 13 syndicated market research reports. So these are like huge voluminous reports which talks about everything from a disease area, the new products, the technologies, the companies in the space, competition, market share, you name it, everything is there in that particular report that you need to know. Right, and because of this report being circulated through different press wire media that the employer had, the citations really grew to, I would say like anywhere and everywhere I could see something. When I was just randomly Googling my name, I could just find out that there were several citations in different forums. For example, in university, there were people who had cited in their university research, academia research. It could be from any sort of, a litigation where they've referenced the research work that we've done. So there were several citations that led due to the amount of media exposure that these research reports and articles had gained. And as I said, there were like several thought leader interviews where I was interviewed one-on-one by reputed magazines, trade publications, journals on these topics that I had researched on to voice my opinion as a key thought leader. And then I was invited to conferences, fully sponsored conferences where you're a keynote presenter, and then presented on almost 10 plus international conferences. And not just that, there was a very interesting part which Frost and Sullivan had before, which is called as the best practices research, right? So this best practices research is nothing but we try to analyze some of the industry trends and who are best when it comes to following the industry trends in terms of innovating a product, a new product, or new technology, coming up with something very innovative in that particular space in a domain. For example, say if it's diabetes, if there is a company who is doing something very different as far as a diabetes product or a technology is concerned, right? So we do these sort of research on a particular topic or an area of interest, and we award companies. So we author the award, and the company actually pays to license the award and to promote that under their banner, right? So some of the awards which I wrote for leading biopharma companies, it includes companies like Merck, your Mercks of the world, Boehringer Ingelheim, some of the companies I could think of, very small biotech companies. I could even remember there were emerging biotechs, there were large pharma companies, there were very niche companies from different segments. These companies were more than willing to author it, and they again published it through their press via media. So this led to like a lot of noise in the industry where you have actually authored this award for the company. The company has licensed this, and this is being published in almost, I would say, different media channels across the globe, right? So this was another strong factor for me, which led to a lot of citations and publications. And no sooner I became a vetted member of global life sciences SME networks. Like for example, there are a lot of independent consulting networks. So I was very happy to sort of voice my opinion through these forums and networks as well. And not just that, as I said, I was also invited as a judge to quite a few expos at the government level, at judge science fairs here locally in some of the countries as well. And of course, the last but not the least, this itself like led to justification of my critical role in leading organizations. So every organization that I played, I was in a position to sort of vet the tangible outcome that I would be able to deliver towards the organization. So these are some of the factors that qualified. And I think with all of this, I created my own professional website, which is called as aiswariya.com. I have the link over here. So this sort of gave me a repository of all the work that I've done and all the different medias through which I have actually been interacting and publishing the work that I've done. So this is in a snapshot or a nutshell about what I have accomplished. So through this, I just wanted to give a couple of things, right? So as I honestly said, when I was doing this, I didn't know there was something called as an EB1A. I didn't know I'm going to move to the US and this would actually aid in journey that's going to let me get into this. So this organically happened to me, thankfully. But in case you're actually working towards doing this, you don't have, now that there's so much of exposure, so much of knowledge, you can actually work towards building this. So how would you do that? You can just try to think backwards. So if you're aiming for this, what all should you be doing now? Okay. So I think I'm not sure if you guys know that there are a set of 10 criteria for qualifying for the EB1A Green Card, which is called as Alien of Extraordinary Ability. Right. So what the USCIS typically wants to see is if you are a recognized person in your particular field of interest. It could be anything, right? You could be a dancer, you could be a singer, you could be a choreographer, you could be a poet, you could be a life sciences person, you could be in technology, you could be in a non-STEM field. That doesn't matter. So in whichever field you are, you have to be a highly recognized person. And have you been able to make impact at a national or at an international level, right? If you've been able to do it globally, wonderful, nothing like it. If not, at least at the national level, have you been in your country of residence, have you been able to do that? And do you have substantial evidence documented for this? This is what the USCIS is really looking at when it comes to an EB1A visa. So it isn't about how long you worked, how long you've stayed in a particular country. All that doesn't matter. It's about proving you're exceptional in your domain. So that means that you're doing certain things in your career which others are not doing, and your peers and industry professionals actually accredit you, acknowledge you as an outstanding person in your career, right? So again, documentation is everything. Make sure that you have enough evidence to prove this. So erratically doing a few things here and there, getting quoted in medias here and there, or just going to a conference and speaking one or two here and there doesn't really qualify this. So this has to be consistent claim, okay, which is built over a period of time. So you would have to, I think the most important thing you will have to do if you're aiming for something like this is to work backwards. Number one, you have to change your mindset. So when you're doing your day-to-day job, it's not just about, okay, how do I move to the next level? How do I get promoted to a senior director from a director level, right? Or how do I actually get to this particular bracket of pay scale? So that is not the mindset. That's not enough to have that sort of a mindset, because that is the typical mindset that everybody would travel under. But the key mindset is, what evidence am I generating today that will prove my impact and my worth tomorrow? So why will they actually call me a renowned person in my industry? What have I done? Right? Have I generated that sort of an impact? Do I have enough evidence to prove that? So based on that, that is how we're going to be really planning. And to do that, what is it that you would typically have to do apart from a day job? Now, all of us have day jobs. We're all working fully on it. We're all very busy 24/7, delivering targets, chasing after numbers, working for that promotion, working for your bonus, etc. But along with that, try to build a portfolio of distinction. So what you have to really do, try and grab the opportunity to author your own articles, industry insights, white papers, any publication that you could do. If you are an academic researcher, then you naturally will tend to do this because you're going to write scientific papers, you're going to write things which are more technical. You're aiming to publish your research work in journals, in trade publications, so on and so forth. But if you're still working in the corporate side, or if you're in the consulting side, or if you're on any side of the industry which is non-research oriented, you still have a wonderful chance. Try to grab each and every opportunity where where you can co-author a white paper with your employer, where you can contribute insights to a newsletter, or where you can co-author a blog, like an insight or an article in a blog. So whenever you get a chance to write, get that published under your name. Media presence. So if you get an opportunity to be here, for example, partner with BioBuzz for any sort of an event, any sort of a presentation, a podcast, interview, a thought leadership piece, just grab it. Definitely all these count a lot, right? And then conferences, panels, do attend conferences. Of course, as important as attending conferences is presenting in conferences. So do they really look at you as an important person in your industry? Are they willing to invite you as a speaker to deliver keynote presentations over here? Are you being invited to moderate panels? If you get these opportunities, definitely don't miss them, because these are going to stand out a lot when you apply for EB1A Green Card. Again, joining professional memberships, join some of the important industry organizations, industry forums, advisory boards, all these related to your area of expertise. Now, you could be a regulatory affairs member, you could be a medical affairs member, you could be a professional in the in the pharmacovigilance space, you could be somebody in the market access space. So whichever area you're specializing in, I'm sure that there would be a particular forum, a particular panel, a particular group which is highly reputed and vetted, right? So do become members of these, do start judging panels, do start moderating panels, get into small associations, professional groups, and all this definitely does count. And apply for awards if there are any specific awards in your area of expertise, in your area of specialization. And if you come across such awards, it need not necessarily have to be your employer sponsored, it could be industry specific as well, right? So anything of that sort, try to apply. And if you win it, nothing like it, those awards definitely do matter. So they are definitely going to add some credentials. If they are more industry recognized, and if it's something which is worth uh, of international acclaim, then all these are going to be big brownie points in your profile. The other important thing is gathering letters of recommendation. This is extremely important. So do get that feedback, that client testimonial every time you deliver a project. You do a great work, right? And especially for me, I remember I had submitted almost 10 letters of recommendation with my EB1A file that I submitted to the USCIS, and these were not just from my employers, because for EB1A, just recommendations from your employers will not be enough. You will need to get it from the clients that you work with, the journalists or the industry people that you've actually interviewed with. I remember getting it from editors from different journals, those who have their own publishing houses, people who you work with in the industry, accrediting that you are an industry-wide professional who is pretty renowned in your space, right? So these will go a long way, but remember one thing: letters of recommendation will not substitute for weak evidence. What is more important is the evidence that you gather, and these letters of recommendation sit on top of that. So it's not like, okay, I'm going to get 10 superb letters of recommendation from 10 people who I know, but then I don't have enough evidence. So that will not compensate for this, right? So letters of recommendation always sit on top of your sufficient evidence. So last but not the least, as I said, evidence of sustained acclaim. So make sure that there's a lot of published material about you. Like how many magazines, how many journals, how many trade publications have you actually, there's material published about you, whether it could be an interview, it could be a podcast, it could be anything. So, or sometimes they might have been published material as featuring you as the expert in a particular area of expertise. So these are the piece of snippets that you should look for and keep it. And again, always your original contributions are going to be of major significance. Sometimes even if this is not published in a public forum, trade publication, something like that, you can get letters from these clients with whom you've delivered projects, where there's really tangible impact. So that's really going to help as well. So do gather all that evidence and keep it ready. It might always come handy for this sort of a scenario. So I think with, Annabelle, are we doing good on time? Do we have some more time? I just want to be mindful of that.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So you might be from different streams here. Today we are focusing mostly on life sciences consulting, but this applies broadly to all the streams, right? Now, each one of us will be in a different stage of our career. Some of us in very early stages, some of them in the middle stages, and versus others who are a little bit more towards the senior stages of your career. So what does this mean to you? If you're still trying to apply for an EB1A, you are still in the right path. You can still do it. There is no restriction that, oh, you should be in the early stage or you should be in the middle stage. You should have given, say, 10 years of your career. Only then you can apply for EB1A. No, nothing like that. So whichever stage you are, it makes you the only thing is you'll have to start taking efforts to shape things into to take it forward in the right direction. Now, let's say, for example, if somebody is in the early stage of your career, say 0 to 5 years, right, and you're still building the foundation, a foundation layer of your career. So this is actually the best stage, I would say, because right now then you already have the knowledge of what this is and what you should be doing, right? So all that you need to do is make sure you have your priorities clear. Okay, this is the area I want to specialize in life sciences. I want to join a very good biotech or a pharma company, or I want to join the consultancy side of the business. So have all of this clear, join a well-recognized firm, right? So that's very important. Now choose your area of specialization. So for example, in my case, I just kept it very broad as life sciences consulting because that's how it took shape into it. Started with market research, I did consulting, then it went to competitive intelligence. Now I'm more into digital transformation. Doesn't matter. The functional domain can keep changing, but then the overall area, the technical space that you're in still remains healthcare or life sciences, right? So if you choose to specialize in a particular area, that is still very valid too. For example, if you say, I want to just go into market access, I just want to go into RWA, real world evidence, I just want to be into clinical consulting, so research and development based strategy consulting. Anything is fine, specialize early. The earlier you do that, the earlier you have that thought and vision, visibility, wonderful, that's very good for you. So start, getting more client exposure, start owning deliverables rather than just doing back-end work. try to do more client facing work, right? So that is where the credibility builds, your confidence builds, and you get more exposure over there. And then, yeah, whenever you get an opportunity to, co-author a white paper, to jump into a webinar, to sort of contribute your insights, whether it's a case competition, building something from scratch, do not miss these opportunities. These are the ones that you should be picking for, because these ones are going to really matter when you file for an EB1A, right? And most importantly, LinkedIn. Build your LinkedIn profile really well, because that is going to garner a lot of such opportunities, whether it is someone reaching out to you for an interview, someone inviting you for a conference. So LinkedIn has so many other multiple uses than just looking for jobs. So LinkedIn itself could serve as a way for you to network with a lot of these journalists, a lot of publishing houses, a lot of entrepreneurs, working with multiple people, getting their insights. If not nothing, just go and start a blog on LinkedIn, start posting over there, share your insights, share your thoughts, let people come and comment on it. All these are going to really matter in terms of how they're going to look at you as a expert in a particular industry, right? So that's what the mentality here is. I'm not just doing work, but I'm creating artifacts of excellence. So if you're in your early stage, it's the best time. So just you can try and channelize it. So you can meticulously, purposefully think that I'm doing all this tomorrow so that I can create evidence for an EB1A. Mid stage of your career, 5 to 10 years. Again, you have already chosen the field by now, I'm sure. If not, even if you want to change your field, you still have you. Typically for an EB1A, we don't change the domain, the therapeutic, the technical domain we don't. But functional, yes, you can keep on changing. As long as you're able to cohesively build a storyline and show it to USCIS, you can definitely do that, right? And in your mid stage, what you want to really focus more is to try and see if you can move into client facing or leadership roles, right? So how well have you been able to take it forward? How you've been able to convince a client, sell a project, how you've helped them, reduce wastage, cost savings, all these kind of things. So specialize a little bit more, and kind of, these are things that will really help you when you're trying to, when you are in the middle stage of your career. And of course, try, going to conferences, more conferences where you could be speakers. So now you have 5 to 10 years of experience that you've built. So based on this experience, how are you actually trying to influence others? How are you actually helping others make tangible impact, tangible outcomes for themselves, right? So do all of that. And most importantly, start mentoring your junior colleagues, your subordinates. That's extremely important. Mentorship also holds a very important point when it comes to your EB1A sort of green card profile. And try to see if you can go and join as a panelist or as a judge in any of the events related to your area of expertise. So all these are things that you could do once you have about 5 to 10 years of experience. Somebody in the early stage of career could not typically go as a judge somewhere, right? So it's not logically, doesn't make sense for them to be invited to that level. So when you're in the 5 to 10 years range, you can definitely aim for all these sort of things. And of course, getting quoted in trade magazines, delivering more podcasts, interviews, participating in more such events organized by your employer, where you actually get featured, on Spotlight. So these are kind of things which are extremely important. And apply for professional awards. I think by this time you have a decent amount of time spent in your career, so you can apply for industry-based awards, professional awards, employer awards. So these are things that you should try focusing on at this stage. So here you're trying to position yourself more as an industry thought leader than just as an employer and executive within your company. Now, this is the most transformative phase, I think, senior thought leadership stage, when you're almost about more than 10 years in your career, or anywhere between 8 to 15 years in your career. So this will be actually the right time when you can apply for an EB1A. But again, having said that, there is no such rule that you will have to wait for 8 to 10 years. If you're able to show the impact even before 8 years, well and good. If not, this is typically the stage where most people are ready, because you're starting to lead transformational initiatives. You are actually helping companies with product launches, market expansions, cost savings, enterprise level transformations. All these kind of things happen over there. And you try to get invited more as keynote speakers, moderators in conferences. Try to go more, put yourself out there. That's very important at this stage. So because by now you've actually seen it all, you've gotten your promotions, you've grown in your career. Now what next, right? So you want to become that industry vetted expert. So that's more important, and try to join advisory boards, being leaders in advisory boards to similar companies. For example, the stream which you already are in, all these will really add value to it, and try to apply for more awards at this point, because you know any sort of accreditation that you have, these are like, the accreditations need not have to be really big, like like being featured in Forbes or Nature, or not everybody has that sort of accreditation. Something which is relevant and something that makes sense to your area of expertise in your industry, given your years of experience, that is what the USCIS is going to do for, right? So I've just tabularized some of the criteria that they look for and some examples of what you could do, for example, from a consulting lens. Maybe you could just take a screenshot of this, or I mean, I don't want to read through the whole thing, but
we'll have this presentation go up on YouTube.
Okay, perfect. So it will be circulated, then wonderful. You could take a look at it once the deck is circulated. Yeah, so coming to the most important part, right? So if you are aiming for an EB1 petition, one thing that you will have to understand is an EB1A career is not built in 6 months or 1 year. It is not done that way. It is a career story that is told with evidence. So if you are aiming for it, right from today, make it a practice to start strategically documenting everything that you have done so far. Right, so that's why I say people call it a brag file. There's no harm, keep a brag file. So for example, what I did is, since there were quite a few publications for me, I created a website for myself, a professional website for myself. So if you can do something like that, or if you don't want to, you can even just have a simple Google folder where you are strategically documenting everything, every interview you gave, every white paper you wrote, every panel you judged, every every conference that you presented in, or every project where you had a very good client testimonial, every letter of recommendation that you gather. Each one of these have to be documented, because suddenly one day when you decide to go and file an EB1A petition, it's going to be very difficult to pull evidences from different parts of you might have worked for so many employers, you might have done so many different projects, we will not practically be able to remember everything. So every time you do this, meticulously make it a practice to put it in a folder, thinking that, okay, someday this will come handy when I'm doing my EB1A Green Card. So make sure you keep a brag file, or keep it all under one repository, and build a public record of expertise. And I think LinkedIn should be a mirror or a mini press portfolio for yourself, right? So typically, whatever you do, when somebody opens your LinkedIn profile, they should be able to see that, okay, this is an EB1A profile. This is somebody who has done something extraordinarily well in their particular field of expertise, right? And and anything which is tangible will go a long way when you're providing your evidence. So anybody can go and say that, okay, this particular person did a fantastic job with the client. The client was extremely satisfied. Everything was good. So this sort of qualitative feedback and outcome does not fly well with the USCIS. It has to be very tangible. The more you substantiate in terms of metrics and outcome, there's a high chance that your case will be upheld. So so this is very important. And just make sure that you document during the go, and not like at the end of the when you're actually sitting to file the petition.
All right, just so we have a little bit of time for questions. Raph, I think it up a little.
Sure. Do we have like 2 minutes? I just want to quickly touch on the myths of EB1A.
Yes, yeah. Would you mind staying on just a little bit over for questions today?
All right, perfect. Okay, so there are a lot of myths that people have about EB1A. So I thought, I wouldn't be able to comprehensively cover everything here, but at least the most common ones that people have, right? So I thought, like, let me just bring it out here and just demystify if possible. So the first thing is, EB1A is only for Nobel laureates, for world famous scientists. No, it is not the case. As I told you, it is for anybody who is specialized and who is very well known in their field of experience, in their field of expertise. So you could be a dancer, you could be a singer, you could be any, you need not have to be a PhD again. You don't have to be a scientist. You could, so I'm not a PhD, I'm not a scientist. So if you're exceptionally good in your area of specialization, that's more than enough. You don't have to be a Nobel laureate, or you don't have to be a celebrity to really qualify for EB1A. And then you need 10 plus academic papers and citations. Not needed. It's not that you should, it's not a number game. It's not like, you need this many accreditations, this many citations. It totally depends on the quality and the impact that each of your work has as compared to the quantity of the work. So even if you have 100 citations in, like, which doesn't make any sense, which are not very relevant or not very impactful, that doesn't still qualify you for the EB1A. Consultants, corporate professionals, and non-PhDs don't qualify. Again, that's a myth. Anybody can. Consultants very well do. So if you are in a consulting field, that is one of the fields where you can actually, like, put your voice out there in the industry very boldly. So that will really help you qualify for an EB1A. You need to be in the US to apply? No, you can be in any country, in your country of residence. You can be anywhere and apply. Again, if even US does accept national claim as well. For example, if you're a renowned person within your country, you can still try and apply. It's all about awards and media coverage. Again, that's not the case. If you have awards and media coverage, it's definitely going to help you. It's going to strengthen your case, justify it better. But it's not just about awards and media coverage. It's about the impact that you've been able to get, and you should be able to substantiate that impact with evidence, demonstrable evidence, right? So that's more important. Lawyers or consultants can manufacture an EB1A case quickly. So this is a very, very funny question, or a funny myth. I would say that many people think that, okay, an EB1A profile can be fabricated. No, you cannot do that. And that's not going to, many people have tried doing this. They've tried, like, doing some paid interviews with 1 or 2 magazines here and there, like just trying to go and get an article about them published in a journal, just to do that and to show that as evidence to the USCIS. It is not done like that. It cannot be erratic and intermittent. Whatever you've done has to be consistent, and the USCIS is going to be very careful in scrutinizing this. So if you think that you could go to a good lawyer, get a profile built within 6 months to 1 year, and then file for an EB1A, that is not going to help you win the case. So you will have to meticulously plan and build this over a period of time. Go with proper evidence, substantiated evidence, so that you get it right the first time. Again, it's a one-time project. It's a 6-month project. No, this is built over a period of time. You must satisfy all the 10 criteria. No, again, right? So you have to qualify a minimum of 3 criteria out of the 10 criteria listed for EB1A. So that includes all your publications, materials that you published about you, judging, playing critical roles in organizations and stuff like that. So you have, at least 3 you have to qualify, but usually we provide evidence under 4 to 5 criteria to be on the safer side. To get your approval through, we at least submit evidence for 4 to 5 criteria. But the minimum requirement is 3. If my company doesn't sponsor me, I can't get EB1A. So EB1A is individually filed. It is you can either file by yourself, or you could hire a lawyer to do it for you. So please get in touch with a good attorney when you're filing this, because that really makes a huge difference. There are many people who say that they can do it by themselves. Well and good, if you can, it is good. But the attorneys are really good in the storytelling and this entire data visualization of bringing this whole a whole career experience together as a solid case. So I would say that please get a good reference of an attorney. Working with a good attorney will make a big difference. It will go a long way in terms of helping you get your EB1A approved. Last is, if I don't have press coverage or US exposure, I have no chance. So that is again a myth. You can be in any country, renowned person in that particular country, and still apply. If you have US exposure, it's an add-on to it, but if you don't, it's still fine. And it's not always about the press coverage alone. If you have press coverage, it's a big advantage. It's going to strengthen your case, but that is not the only thing that they're going to look at. So these are some of the questions. And in addition to that, if you could be any stage of your career, as I mentioned, and not just that, you could be in any discipline. You could be a consultant, you could be a teacher, you could be a researcher, you could be anything, and you could still apply for an EB1A if you're able to meet the criteria. So I think with that, I'll probably, are we good on time, Annabelle? I can open the floor for questions.